Welcome to CIS 152. We're going to have a good semester, a big semester. There's a lot to cover. So let's go ahead and talk about the syllabus. So from anywhere in Cobra, you should be able to go to content and then the syllabus. The syllabus will bring up just a little bit for the on-campus class. It shows a little bit at the top. And of course, the online class will have something different up there. And then if you scroll down, then you can see the syllabus itself. So let's talk a little bit about this. I will often be found in D208. I do have an office in B227, but I'm usually in D208 where the class is held. And you're welcome to call that office phone, but it's not, there often isn't anybody in there to answer the phone. So email or stopping by to see me is easier or is quicker for you to get a response. That's the course description. You should probably know what the course is covering before you even signed up for it. You do have some required resources that are kind of loosely required. Of course, you do need to have reliable internet access, no matter where you're working on this. If you want to come to campus, you're welcome to do that. You need to have a laptop or a PC, something running Windows, but that's the one that's loose. I have had students who completed this class with a Mac, several students who've completed the class with a Mac, and one running Linux. So Windows is loose there, but I'll be showing all of my demos using Windows. A USB thumb drive, if you're working on this on campus, you'll need to be able to take it to home to continue working on it or possibly move to a different computer. So some way for you to share your project with yourself. And then we'll talk about a variety of tools as we move along. You don't need to purchase these. I will be using Google Chrome when I demo, but there will be times when we will do different, when we test using different web browsers. So you might want to have more than one web browser available on your computer. A text editor, again, I'll be using brackets, but you can use any of those. We will have 3 or 4 of them on campus that you can choose from. A graphics editing software, you don't have to go out and buy Photoshop or Illustrator. Again, on campus, we'll have both of those available for you. But you can do this using GIMP, which is free, or you can even use PowerPoint. If you have any project or any software that can create a page that will be a mock-up of a web design, and we'll talk about that as we move along, but you don't have to worry about not knowing how to use Photoshop or Illustrator in this class. And lynda.com and other accounts, we'll talk about those as we move along as well. Many of you probably already have lynda.com access. You will need a textbook right away. In fact, I'll be doing a demo on chapter 2 this first week. So that is something that you will need to have access to. You can get it in the bookstore or you can buy it online. There is one copy on reserve in the library, and to use it, you have to stay in the library. There are some course policies, and in general, my policy is that you should talk to me. If we have any difficulties, if you have any questions, if there's anything that we need to discuss or you need to ask what can be done, just talk to me. I am happy to talk to you and happy to help you prioritize if you need, and happy to regrade if I have to, if you just talk to me. Online, of course, absences are not something that need to be discussed, but academic dishonesty and disruption are something. If it's found that there's any sort of cheating, then it can go all the way up to being kicked out of college. But we don't want to do that, of course, and we want you to just do your own work. So um, keep that all in mind. The course will be taught using a Windows-based PC and will be, like I said, using Chrome and brackets for this. Um, and of course, food and drinks aren't allowed in the computer classrooms at Parkland. If you are coming, even if you are coming to class, to the lab to work on it outside of class time, you shouldn't have food and drinks in the classroom. Um, there are some prerequisites. There is a prerequisite, I guess, that you have some basic computer skills. So understanding the difference between files and folders, being able to open and save files and folders, being able to change. Um, Sorry about that distracting little window down there. Um, Being able to rename files or folders, zipping and unzipping, familiarity with file and folder paths. So some of that is just something that you'll have to do as we're moving along. And I'll give you a very first assignment on that to make sure that you are feeling comfortable with all of those before we move forward. The course schedule is organized into modules. We have 3 modules this semester, and each of those takes approximately 5 weeks. And the entire module will be opened at once, and there will be one final deadline at the end of the entire module. I recommend that you keep up with me, though. I will be covering 1 to 2 chapters a week, and in those, I will suggest, or I will give you the suggested items that I would have due that particular week. But you actually have until the end of the module when everything is due. And um, at this point, I don't plan to have work in the module that has individual deadlines, but it is certainly possible that I might if we need it as we go along. But the first module is basic HTML and CSS3. I'm sorry, HTML5 and CSS3. And we'll talk briefly about the design process. In module 2, we talk about advanced HTML and CSS, or intermediate, some would call it, and design guidelines. And then finally, in module 3, we're basically talking about enhancing the HTML and CSS. Somebody might call that one the advanced HTML and CSS, but we're really enhancing those with the user experience. And UI is user interface, and UX is user experience, and JavaScript and jQuery, and publishing, and some of the details along with that. So each of those modules will have its own assignments, exercises, quizzes, and a big project at the end. And you'll have time to work on each of those as we go along. Let's see. We don't have any exams in this class. The the quizzes come straight from the textbook. The weekly assignments and exercises, some will come from the textbook, and most of those we will do in class or via video. The assignments, some assignments will be given to you with different instructions from the textbook, so just kind of be aware of that. And then, like I said, you'll have the 3 module projects, So at the end, kind of consider it like having an exam at the end of each module. So at the end of Module 1, you're going to create a My Site project. At the end of Module 2, you'll create a partnership project. And at the end of Module 3, you'll have a Donut Delights project, a business project. So in all of those, I'll give you some time, some class time to work on it if we're in class, or for those of you online, I will give you some time when I'm not giving new information, new content for you to work on your projects. And let me know, of course, if you have any questions. And then there's some optional bonus discussions. So for each unit, you will have or for each module, I should say, you'll have 2 to 3 optional bonus discussions. If you can get a good discussion going in there, you'll get some extra credit. But that's, partly dependent on other users, of course, your colleagues, classmates. And I talked mostly about this, attendance and participation. Even online, I do ask that you come to class. I'm sorry, that you log in at least 2 times a week, but I recommend that you log in even more than that and work on your projects. You'll also be required to make some presentations for each project that you're doing, and you'll be presenting your own work. There's nothing else that's required of you. No additional research that you'll have to do to make your presentations. The quizzes are multiple choice, and they're over readings from the textbook. The plan is at this point to allow 3 attempts for each quiz, and the highest grade be accepted. So it will actually behoove you to go ahead and start on your quizzes a little early, as opposed to waiting until kind of the last minute when you won't have a chance to use all 3 attempts. Assignments and exercises and module projects. I've talked about each of those. I'll give you more details, of course, as we move along. And there are additional policies. My statement for students with disabilities: if you need assistance, please let me know. And Title IX information for you as well. And of course, anything can change as we move along this semester, and any changes are going to be announced in Cobra. I don't expect very much in the way of changes this semester, though. And I think that's about it. Oh yes, notice that each of those has point values. The exercises are twice the value of the quizzes. We're going to drop the lowest quiz, and we're going to drop the lowest exercise. And then the module projects are, like I said, kind of like an exam at the end of each module. And I think that's about it. Let me know if you have any questions over the syllabus or what might be expected of you this semester.